Hey everyone, this is Jeb Graham with Metcalf Partners Wealth Management, and this is a Metcalf Money Moment for this week. Hope that your year is off to a good start. And today, what I want to talk about is interest rates or the federal funds rate and how that might relate to passive versus active portfolio management. So, for anybody that is not aware of what the federal funds rate is, it's the interest rate that financial institutions charge each other to lend money to each other in an overnight interest rate. When you're watching the news and they talk about interest rates and the Fed raising interest rates, that is the interest rate that they are talking about. What I'd like to do now is share my screen with you and show you historically what the federal funds rate looks like. So if you look at right now where we're just under 5% on the federal funds rate. Okay. If you look historically, that's actually right around or a little bit below average as far as the federal funds rate since 1955. Okay. So if you look into the late 70s and early 80s when we were fighting inflation, you can see that at one point in time, the federal funds rate was up at over 18%, close to 20%. And time went on, and then we had the great financial crisis back in 2008 and 9. And what you can see is during that time, and this makes perfect sense, the Fed had to basically completely cut interest rates in an attempt to stimulate the economy. So we went for the greater part of a decade or more with interest rates between 0 and 2.5%. And really, they were 0% from close to 0% between 2009 and 2016, and then they trickled up for a couple of years. Then we had the pandemic and they went down again to basically 0 for a couple of years. And that could be part of what, that's one of the factors that spawned this inflationary time period that we're in. And so when that relates to portfolio management, when you look at 2009 through basically the beginning of last year, those low interest rates were very conducive to passive portfolio management, meaning buy an S&P 500 fund or some sort of just broad-based market fund and let it ride. Okay, now that we're getting into this higher interest rate environment, and by the way, from the point that we're in right now, it's very difficult to see us going back to this 0 interest rate environment anytime soon. We're in an inflationary period. Right now, the Fed is trying to get inflation under control, which they're making headway and doing that. However, once we get to a level where inflation is under control, they'll have to make decisions as to whether they lower interest rates back down or if they leave them at an elevated level for a while. But it's tough to see an environment that it's going to go back to this 0 interest rate. That said, this could be in the foreseeable future a good time for active portfolio management. What that means is an active portfolio manager, an active fund manager, is much more active in how they're picking the investments that they own in the fund. And there's a lot more research that goes into it because instead of owning the entire S&P 500, they're going to pick specific pieces of that index that they think are going to thrive in this new environment. So this has been a Metcalf Money Moment. Hopefully you found it helpful. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to give us a call.